when I was looking at your testing numbers, the thing that stood out that when I compare them, like
Uh,
measurables and numbers and all that,
yes, sir.
Corey Luigi.
Corey Luigi. All right. All right.
Turn up your volume. Because you're
How big
about
is
to
it?
listen
How
to
tall is it?
The Sick Podcast with
Hello?
Draft Vogel.
With the first pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the first pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, with the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft.
The sickest NFL draft show. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome into the Sick Podcast with Draft Vogel. I'm John Vogel, joined by and a falling phone, Levi
There we go,
Drake
boys.
Rodriguez.
Yes,
And
sir. Yes,
Levi, man,
sir.
defensive tackle out of the University of Texas A&M-Commerce. So first off, I think you're the first small school guy we've had on the show this year.
That's awesome, baby. That's awesome. Love being
So
the first.
the
Let's get it.
absolute dude, and so the reason that I wanted to bring you on, I wanted to bring you, into the fold per se, is because we have a mutual friend, Coach Arlo Henderson, that told
Great
me
guy.
about you. He coached you down there at the Tropical Bowl.
Yeah, yes, sir.
And I heard from him, I heard from multiple people that the best player at the Tropical Bowl this year was Levi Drake Rodriguez. You need to check him out. You need to look at him. And so I've taken a little bit of a look from what I can. I'm not exactly I don't have all 22 and everything to really get into stuff, but I've seen what I
Yeah.
can. And I really like your game, man. So
Thank you, sir.
I
Thank
think I'd love to. I think you're going to be in the league for a while.
you. Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that we got you on here, try to get you some more exposure and all that stuff. But first
Yeah.
off,
Thank you.
thank you for joining us. How are you doing, Levi?
And I'm doing well. Just got done with training in Florida at Perform. My agent, Everett Levy, man, hooked me up well over there. They got a great facility, beautiful sunshine, can't go wrong with Florida. So I just got done over there for 2 months. I had my pro day last Thursday, and I actually went camping, for 3 days. So I'm living the dream right now. Monday coming up, man, we getting after it. Yes, sir. So I'm doing well. Can't complain. I'm blessed. Yes, sir.
Awesome, awesome. So I was telling you before we got started that you've got one of the most unique backgrounds I've ever seen.
Yeah.
From I'll just start. I'll just read what my first sentence in my background. So, a transfer from Southwestern Assemblies of God. Like you are literally coming from. This is not the traditional scouting, routine where we're going and going. Okay, like I had to ask you where the school was because I didn't even
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your journey, man, a little bit. Let's go back to when you first started playing football.
Yeah.
When
So
was that for you? When did you find football?
yeah, so I found football at a very young age. I played one game of flag football, and I think I was 4 years old. That didn't last long at all. I started tackling folks in flag football. So my dad was all like, Levi, my dad said, Levi, you're going to hurt somebody. I said, yeah, you're right. So ever since then, my folks put me into tackle football. I started wearing them big old brain buckets, some big old pads, So since I was 4 years old, I started playing baseball and football, and I was a lot of fun growing up. My dad has always told me that we're sports poor, and what that looks like is we pour so much into training, so much into athletics, off seasons and select baseball, select football, that we didn't always have the best house, or the best gloves or best cleats, duct tape held my cleats together, So I cherish that, and that made me want to pour even more into that sport. And I saw that sacrifice that my parents were putting in, and I ran with it. Growing up, I ran with it, and I just had a blast. That was my outlet. Yes, sir.
When you got to high school, what position were you playing? What kind of
Yeah.
experience did you have already?
Uh, so, my dad has always told me that. Uh, so I was in middle school, and he was like, "Who's your competition?" I was like, eighth grade. He said, "No, it's high school, right?" So since seventh grade, that's when you start playing football in middle school. So seventh grade, I started training for high school. I wanted to be great. I wanted to, be the fastest, strongest, whatever. But so that was my mindset, going into high school. And I got moved to right tackle in high school. I was 210, nasty though. I was a dog. I got all state at right tackle my senior year. And, I played a driver too on D line, but that right tackle, man, I learned a lot, from kick sets to angles that the O line is taking to the linebackers, to hands, feet, and I learned a lot about the O line, and that translates to my play now, as a D lineman. So, yeah,
Let's talk about that a little bit
yeah,
later on. I want to circle back into that because when
uh,
we get through your background, I think when we start talking football, then we're going to get into, I want to get into that and how that translates. But okay, so right tackle, you go to Southwest Assemblies of God. Is that where you made the move back to the defensive side, or is that were you still playing right tackle over there?
no, no, sir. So I actually went for a baseball visit. Went for a baseball
Oh,
visit. And yeah, so I played baseball throughout my life as well as high school. I was on varsity my freshman year for high school baseball. Um, yeah, so I went for a baseball visit, and their D line coach actually saw me dunk a basketball. So I dunked it, and he saw me. He was like, "Oh yeah, he plays football too." He said, "I need him." Um, so he moved me to D line, D end. Actually, I was weighing 225, 230, and had some great years over there. First team all conference my first year as a freshman, second team my second year, and then all American my third year there. And that transition was awesome. I've always been a defensive guy. Of course, I love my quarterbacks, but I want to go. I want to go attack the ball. I want to be a wolf pack. Going to the ball. That's a lot of fun to me. Yes, sir.
yeah. I mean, if you were tackling kids in flag football at 4 years old, then yeah, you probably belong on the defensive side. Like
Yeah, yeah,
that's kind of goes without saying, I think. But all right, so you 3 years, very productive years
correct.
down there.
Yeah.
You end up at Texas A&M-Commerce, which is
Mm,
where we know you from. At least most people know you from. So, what went into that decision,
yeah,
to leave
yeah.
that level and come up?
Yeah, so personally, I believed in myself. I had the drive, I had the mindset, had the will and the determination to, showcase what the Lord gave me. And as far as my talents, my leadership comes in a big role, after that. Um, so I was in the midst of training. I got done with my third season there, All American season. And I talked to my parents, and I was just really, really distraught about it. What do I do? I was comfortable, but I didn't like being comfortable. I didn't want to be complacent where I was, and I fought for it. After that season, I was I was training in that summer, um, and that spring. So I was in the midst of training, and I decided to get my answer. And I fasted for 7 days, a whole week, only liquids, and that was tough, man. That was tough on my mind, body, and my soul. But it was the Lord was also saturating me in that time, and growing me in wisdom and strength and power. Yes, sir. So I did that. I went to a park, sat on a bench, and I just laid there. I brought my snacks, I brought my Bible, and I said, Lord, I'm not leaving until I get an answer. So I went there expecting, and demanding that, Lord, I want to hear your voice. So I was there. It was probably third, fourth hour in the day, and I heard the Lord said, go. And I said, why? He said, go two more times. I said, yes, sir. So after that, I was out of there. Best decision that I've one of the best decisions that I've made in my life. And I wouldn't be here if I didn't make that decision and listen to the Lord. Yes, sir.
And so we were talking about this too before we were recording, and I thought
Yeah.
this is awesome
Yes,
because
sir.
fasting is something that you as a defensive lineman, that's a real sacrifice.
Yeah.
You guys got to eat a lot of food just to keep up your weight. a lot
Yeah,
of
yes,
times,
sir.
right? So
Yeah.
it's just that was a true sacrifice, I think, not just from
Mm.
a spiritual standpoint, but in your football life as well, which I respect that tremendously, man. That is
Yeah, yes, sir.
freaking awesome. That is amazing. So you get to A&M, you put a couple really good years together there too, right?
Correct. Yeah, my first year I got second team all conference. So I went to Edge at SAGU, and then I transitioned to D tackle. Uh, I felt like I dominated, but I felt that I had a lot more to prove. Not only to myself but for my teammates, and the Lord put in a lot of drive in me. So man, I spent a lot of early mornings. So my first season there, I woke up at 3:30, 3:25 every morning. I didn't miss a morning. And I kept that going all through the off season, stacking my days, working on my hips, hands, and feet, and of course the mental game as well. I want to be a student of the game. So I did that throughout the whole season. Yeah, it got long, but man, I loved it. I know no one else was doing that, so kept stacking bricks on bricks throughout the summer as well, trained with a weighted vest for workouts, man. That was, grueling, but it tested, everything in me, man, and it grew me. Um, so I carried that on to this season. Every morning, woke up at 4, a little bit later because our practice was a little later. So
Hmm.
woke up at 4, did my thing, uh, got to the field, I hydrated, I read, I wrote, um, and yeah, and I just did hips, hands, feet, and the mental game as well. And I loved walking in the locker room and me drenched in sweat from head to toe. And then I would see all my teammates still wiping the sleep out their eyes, So uh, and I was, hot and ready for practice, So uh, but that elevated my game, big time um, in practice as well as going against different opponents. Had the upper hand. I know I spent thousands of hours uh, working my craft, and I know no one did that this year, not at the consistency level that I did. Every morning, uh, it was tough, and late nights as well. No one out there. It's cold, wet, rainy, and that's where that hard work was put in, and Saturdays was the fun, So yes, sir.
I I think it's interesting too. You got the Tropical Bowl invite,
Mm.
and you got down there. I think you had a couple teammates that were there last year, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe cater, but yeah, I'm not sure actually. No, sir. I'm not sure.
I think there were two of them that were there because I was there. I was at the Tropical Bowl last year.
Okay.
I didn't make it down there this year, but I think there were because Texas A&M-Commerce. There were a couple guys that were down there from there.
Right.
Um, Obviously, you guys are a really good school too because you're pumping talent up to the next level. I think Andrew Armstrong came out of there, goes to the
Yeah.
University of Arkansas.
Yeah, he's a dog.
Like yeah, he's awesome. He's a lot of fun to watch, and I think he's probably got a good shot at getting in the league too, especially
No
with
doubt.
what he's done in Arkansas.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you guys are one of those underrated programs that not a lot of people, I think, like fan wise, know about, but the league
Mm.
respects because of the talent that you guys are cultivating down there. So
Yeah.
what was the biggest adjustment, from what I guess the word I'm looking for would be from a culture standpoint, going from Southwest Assemblies of God to Texas A&M-Commerce?
Oh man, the coach is way different. Uh, SAGU was faith based all around. So we had dorm devos on Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we had chapel. And that's a big part of my life, just from going there. But those days get long, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it was different going to a secular school in that aspect of where I didn't have that plan or that set schedule, So that's where I had to learn as a man and as a spiritual leader as well to actually dig into my faith deeper and deeper. So I had Bible studies at the beginning of the year, and I want to pour into the man, as well as a football player because I know football is going to end one day, and I would rather see my buddies uh, in heaven, flourishing than than with a lost soul down on earth, you know. So I understand the importance of, you know, spirituality, and that was a big difference. But you know, football is football. So I transitioned well with that, you know, going from a different position and dominating. Uh, you know, of course, it took the long hours, but um, they paid off as well. Yes, sir.
So you get to the Tropical Bowl. What was the biggest
Mm,
thing you were able to take away from going to an event like that for a week?
mm.
And what were you able to add? Was there anything you were able to add to your game that you were able to take from the coaches?
Yeah, I would say just being humble, you know, going into that because people come from all sorts of schools, you know, Auburn, North Carolina, Florida, Illinois, you know, amazing schools with crazy exposure, you know, and I was humble first day, you know, going in there, but with the mindset I'm going to dominate as well. Um, so I took out respecting where people come from, but also building those relationships as well. You know, it was a great time. I had a blast. I made so many new friends after FCS Bowl and the Tropical Bowl. So that was a, you know, a blast. Just meeting new people, experiencing different cultures as well. You know, listening to stories about what they had going on. NIL, you know, I didn't get any, and to hear stories about where folks are, you know, bringing in some change was awesome. But I felt like that made me um, even more hungrier, you know. So it was a great time. I learned a lot, not only from players and their experiences, but as well as coaches, you know, their background, the ins and outs of scouting, you know, some little points that they've given me. And I just had a really good time. Yes, sir.
Let's get into the game.
Talk to
You
me.
know, we
Let's
get
go.
nerdy on this show, man. I don't know if you knew that, but like we
No,
can get
didn't.
down in the weeds. So I want to start with going back to, high school to college, playing offensive line, going to defensive line. How does that translate? What are you able to take away from that experience?
Yeah. So, man, you can look at a lot of things at the D line or at the O line. I know that, you know, if a guard or a tackle's coming downhill on you, so you're the D tackle, here's the right tackle, and he's going down the hill on you. His knee is going to be like bent in a little bit just to get some more leverage and a better step, you know, to push off with that right leg to have a better lateral step at going and getting your hip. So, you know, little small movements, little tweaks and little angles that their hands are doing, that their knees are doing, that their feet are doing, and of course eyes. You know, eyes will tell you a lot, as well as, you know, you have a center, you have a guard. Uh, if he's pulling, he's gonna move back just a little bit, you know, just to give him that little extra edge. So I love calling that out. I love backdooring that, you know, get a little TFL action, celebrate with my folks. So yeah, there's a lot of little things that go into film. You know, that's where I see all of it. I'll spend, you know, 5 minutes on the same clip. You know, just going from center to guard on their pass set, whether it's full man slide, half man slide, whether it's downhill run, you know, down pressure, or where their hands are on their kick set. You know, are they a vertical kick setter or a short? You know, so I love, you know, just breaking down folks. And one thing I do is my opponent. We play him, so I have the roster. Our coach gives us a roster, and I go through every social media platform that I can find of them. I go through Facebook. Facebook got everything now. They got the mom, dad, sister, girlfriend. So I do that, and man, I go to Instagram, Twitter. I Google them. I do everything that I can, just have an upper hand. You know, whether they have kids, uh, whether they have a fiance, you know, whether they lost a loved one or whatever. You know, the street name. I've gotten a birthday. You know, like a vent where that vent's held. So I've done a lot of research on my opponents, man, and it's funny, you know, seeing their face of like, whoa, how do you know this about me? You know, how do you know my mom's name, her birthday, my dad? You know, like it's a lot of fun doing that. and seeing
So
their
so
faces.
let's clarify this for a second because I think I know
Talk
what
to
you're
me.
talking about, but I want to make sure like
Yeah.
everybody else does. You learn this stuff to get in their head when you're lined up on them, right?
Yeah, just not even whenever I'm lined up on them, but like let's say after a play, I'll say, "Hey, how's your mama Teresa doing?" Or something like that, and their minds on that, like, "Whoa, who is this kid?" Like, and their mind's somewhere else rather than the play that's getting called. Yeah, yes, sir. So, that's a lot of fun for me, and then of course I
So
share,
so you
with my
do it
team.
you do your smash talk in a polite way is what you're saying,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yes, sir. Yeah. I
Okay.
want people to respect my mama too, but also, but I also want to have that edge. Yeah, yes, sir. So I've done that about Old Dominion. Sam Houston when we played them last year. Uh, Sacramento State this year. SFA. Some schools that I never knew their players. And then I
Mhm.
learned a lot, and I did that at the Tropical Bowl as well. So yeah, there's a good tactic
Do
for
you
me.
have one of these like picture memories that you can
No,
remember all
no,
this
no,
stuff?
no. No, I wish, son. I'll be getting straight A's in school if I did, man.
That's a lot of information that you're talking about processing,
Yeah.
especially getting ready just for the Tropical Bowl to go down there and know all these guys. So when you line up on them, you can ask them that stuff. That's interesting.
Yeah, so I
Um,
was I was sitting on the ground, right, with a new buddy that I met. And I saw their faces, because man, I would spend 30 minutes on one guy just looking him up. And I would see their faces. I was like, oh yeah, that's Brian Dooley from where was he? Eastern Michigan or something. So and then I was like, oh yeah, his mom's name is this, and that guy was like, what the hello? So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, yes, sir.
so another thing you were kind of talking about, I like to talk about the trenches and the way that you get into, your sets and the way that you attack a guy
Yeah,
as the chess game.
yeah,
I think that's really what it is. And the faster people understand that, coming into the league, that really what you're doing is you're setting up, for
yeah,
future success throughout the game. Um, the better that their careers are going to be. So where are you right now in the aspect of hand fighting, preparing your lower
yeah.
body, upper body, keeping that in sync, and getting, setting up a dude so that you can beat him later on?
So I was practicing for hours on that. So that's my first move. I beat him with it. I'm gonna beat him with it again, and once he finally catches on, then I'm gonna make him fall in love with speed. With the same thing, bam. And then once he oversets me, I'm gonna counter, right now, because he's gonna respect my speed and he's gonna overset. He's gonna be leaning as well. So that's where that counter comes in and that hump move. So that's where I get them on their heels. What I do to keep my hips up and my feet up, man, I work out my hips, on air every morning that I was out there throughout the season, and I would do bag works, but I would also line up on air. Just get those mental reps. So I would hit at least 10 reps of every move that I'll have on each side. Because I don't want to be deficient. On one side. So I hit that every morning, and I also do blind work. So I wrap a towel or my shirt around my head, and I have a friend come put his hands on me, and then I grab wrists or elbows and get those mental and physical reps as well.
Okay, that's so. Where would you say you are right now with your hands and the way that you attack a guy?
Yeah, so that I feel like they're smooth. I feel like I can react really well to whenever hands get on me. Man, O linemen grab and hold. That's what they do, and I
Yep.
hate that. I hate it so much. So I feel like my hands are really good at finding wrists and fork lifting or double swiping or little cross chop action. So they're developing every day. I love to focus on them, and I actually wanted to get in a Muay Thai class. Just to help my game even more. Muay Thai, karate, whatever art test my abilities more. So I would love to do that
Yeah.
as well, bro.
So I thought your hands were really good when I saw, especially
Yeah,
the way that you attack, and I think that's what helps you with your quickness. I thought that your lower body is really good when you get into, being synced with your upper body, setting yourself up
yeah,
to be in the right position when you get to success. But when you go back to your time at A&M, and we talk about the scheme and what
hmm,
you were being asked to do, I think that you kind of had this dual role essentially, where a
right,
lot of the time you are a run stuffer, a lot of the time you're a space eater.
hmm,
So if you take that into consideration and you think, oh, as a straight gap shooter,
yeah,
which I think I would love to see as just a straight gap shooter, just
yeah.
let you go to town, right? But
uh,
as a space eater, is there a different mentality that comes with, having to understand the scheme and play your role instead of just always
yeah.
trying to make a play?
Yeah, of course. I'm a selfless player. Whatever scheme the coach wants me to play, I'm on it. I want to understand it like the coaches do, so I can play as fast as I can. That mentality with pass rush as well is there with the run stopping. I don't want to just be a hole clogger, but I want to attack my target. I want to get extension. I want to get separation, and I want to shuck off and make a play. I don't want to just sit there at the line. I want to I want to cause havoc. I want to be nasty up there in the trenches. I don't want to be the nail, but I want to be the hammer. So
Hmm.
um, I would say I attack. A little bit less finesse and more ferociousness whenever it comes to run downs, and it. And I love that. I love the trenches. I love inside the guards. That's it gets nasty in there. With double teams and whatnot, but. It's a lot of fun, man, and I've really grown to love it, and I fell in love with it. Yeah,
Let's talk about some of the feedback that you've gotten since you left A&M. Just going to the different events, your pro day and that kind of stuff. What are
yeah,
people telling you that they like, and what are people telling you that they think you need to work on a little bit?
yeah, for sure. I'm not the biggest, fastest, or strongest guy out there, but
Well,
you know,
50140, bro, like me, you can move,
yeah,
Like, hey, that's
yeah,
not bad.
yeah,
That's not bad.
yes, sir, yes, sir. But I would say just my size, my weight. That's one thing I really focused on. So I ended the season at I played the season at 285, ended it around 280, and then I got up. My heaviest was 305, and I weighed 300 on my pro day. So the Steelers talked to my strength coach and was like, "Hey, we need him at this weight." And sure enough, I got there, and and I know that looks better than 295. 300 or 305 looks way prettier than the my weight. My weight was always a thing for me, and I was just been eating. I just been eating. So I feel great right now at 300 plus. I feel like I'm moving really well. My feet, my hips are really well. So I feel great, honestly. I feel great at 300.
One of the things I was told, when I was getting into this, by a guy that worked with the Steelers for a long time, Mark Gorsak,
Mm,
was there's only 5% of the
yeah,
population that's over 6'2" and 200 pounds.
yeah,
So when you can find a guy that's 6'2", 300 pounds and he can move, you're gold.
yeah.
You know,
Yes,
so
sir. Yeah.
that's what I think about. When I see numbers, when I see things
Mm,
like yours from your pro day, and think, okay, this guy can move at that size. You're going to get an opportunity. The
yeah.
last question that I want to get out to you before we wrap this up is: are there any players that you look at, any players that you try to take from their game and add to your arsenal?
Yeah. Aaron Donald, he's a dog. He's not the biggest,
I knew it.
but he's
I knew it.
freaking
I'm sorry. I knew it. I knew it. I
yeah.
knew it.
Yeah, but he's a technical son of a gun, and I watched a video on him, and I broke it down, spent a good minute in the morning breaking it down, and I went to go practice it, and I threw it in my practice, and it flourished, and I was like, oh yeah, so started working that. My motor from Matabuke, I think, with the
Hmm.
Ravens,
Yep.
so I love his motor. His motor's nasty, and I love flying to the ball on screens or whenever running backs, cut back. Hello, so I love knocking some heads off. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. I'm wishing you the best of luck in the process, man. I think that you're gonna
Thank
make
you.
it. Um,
Thank you, sir.
it's been great to sit here and chat with you. Stick around as we wrap this thing up. Um, but man, awesome to sit down, get a chance to talk to Levi. Like
Yeah.
you're a dude, man. Like you're a
Thank you,
dude. You're a lot
sir.
of fun to talk to, and you know your stuff too. So that's always a nice bonus on top of that.
Yes,
But
sir.
this has been a sick podcast with Draft Vogel. Shane, let's go ahead and get us out of here.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Draft Vogel on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.